Earlier in the program, we heard from U.S. Senator Shelley, who supported the spending plan that was approved pretty overwhelmingly by Congress last week and signed by the president. Senator Joe Manchin joins us now, has a little bit different perspective. Senator, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Hi.
Thanks for coming on. Do we have a good cell? Are you there? Senator, are you with us?
Can you hear me, Hoff?
Yes. Let's give it a try here. Let's start with this. So you voted against this spending plan. It passed. The president signed it. Why did you vote against it?
Oh, my. I think everybody knows that I was pretty cautious about the budget, and I knew one thing. The same as your household budget, the same if you have a little business or a large business, you've got to live within your means. You've got to budget out and be able to pay for what you want. And you set your priorities based on your values. You just don't say yes to everybody. And Hop, we're looking at $18.7 trillion of debt. There's a lot of historical facts in what we're doing today. We've not been in this situation since 1946. Have we ever had 100% of GDP to debt? And you got to think of 46. We're coming out of the war. At the end of the war, we would do anything, to save this country and save the world. And we did that. This is all self-inflicted, what we're doing now. I couldn't in good conscience look at you or anybody else, any taxpayer, any citizen in my state or in my country, and thinking that we're doing you all a favor by adding another $700 billion of debt to a crippling amount of debt we already have. So that's where it came down, Hop. Kent Conrad, who used to be chairman, Kent was probably one of the most bipartisan people we had. He knew the budget backward and forward. And basically 3 years ago, we raised the rate on the top 1% earners back to 39.6%, if you recall. That was supposed to raise $600 billion over 10 years to try to help pay down the debt. And that's how everybody, especially the Democrats, said that's how we're going to do it. Then they come back now, both Republicans and Democrats voted to add $680 billion more to the debt. And if you look at it and combine it with the interest we'll pay over 10 years, it'll be another $830 billion. Plus, in this period of time, no way and no time and nowhere are we even sitting down to work on a long-term fix, which is a total overhaul of our corporate and personal income tax.
Senator,
that's the thing we're talking about.
Senator, your cohort in the Senate, although of a different party, Shelley on this program earlier, talked about her support for this legislation, saying it wasn't perfect, but there are a lot of good things in there. She said it's a bipartisan bill, quote, with several provisions that benefit, what's actually going to release, several provisions that benefit West Virginia, including significant funding to enhance our national security, combat the drug epidemic, expand access to affordable broadband. There's a permanent extension of the earned income tax credit, which benefits tens of thousands of West Virginians. She says she couldn't vote against it because of all the good stuff that was in there.
And you know what? I have to agree with Shelley. There's many reasons to vote for it. I understood that. But to do it and put it in permanent is something I could not do. That doesn't put any pressure on us as legislators to fix our horrible financial mess we're in. But they all threw the goodies in. Everybody threw goodies in on both sides. There was everything for horse racing to car racing, you name it. We threw some extra goodies in on top of it. And that's the way they do it. They throw the things like child tax credits, earned income.
Right.
All these are good things, Hop. We had them on a 2-year extension. So we were good up until 2017. They come back now and make it permanent. The Democrats wanted it to be permanent. I agree with that. The Republicans wanted to export oil. I agree with that. But you have to give away the whole darn store and basically put us in a situation which gives us very few tools to ever do an overhaul of the tax system.
Well, in light of what in line with what you are saying, Congressman Lloyd Doggett, a Democrat from Texas, said in a floor speech last Thursday, this bill is even referred to as a Christmas tree bill because special interests get special presents, all in ornaments on this tree in this 2,000-page bill.
Well, I even said on the floor, Hoppy, I'm just so I'm amazed to watch all of my colleagues who are in the Christmas giving. They were short in the Christmas spirit, I can tell you that. I don't I'm not sitting here and saying that you shouldn't have this. I mean, maybe I have a different perspective. I knew when I was in business, I knew as an individual, and I sure as heck knew when I was governor that I had a responsibility. I had a heck of a responsibility to make sure that we had our finances in order so I could do the things I told you I was going to do. I can give you all the promises you want to hear from a politician. That all sounds good, and I can use the excuse, so sorry, Hoppy, we couldn't pay for it. We wanted to do it, just couldn't do it. I never did that, Hop. I was tough, man. The first couple of years shut everything down until I had a handle on things. I've seen this picture many times unfold. And the bottom line is, if this country doesn't get its act together, God help us all. What we have just done to our children and your grandchildren is unconscionable. Unconscionable. We're not going to get out of this hole unless we're committed to doing it, and we keep picking away and giving a little bit here, a little bit there. It makes it much harder.
U.S.
Much harder.
U.S. Senator Joe Manchin's with us. He voted against the spending plan, and you're right. I mean, I have complained many times about the spending more than we take in. Coming back to what Capito said, she said she agrees with your points to a large degree, but that there is a practical part. Is that, well, it's either this or nothing according to the way the bill was put forth. So either this or you shut down the government, right?
Well, I look at it a little bit different. No, You don't shut down the government. We didn't have to shut down. Here's the first thing I try to do. Procedural vote. I try to separate them. At least the House was able to vote separately. The House voted on the extenders bill, which is this additional giveaway of $680 billion. And then they voted on the omnibus. I was for the omnibus bill. I was for, and that's $1.1 trillion.
Right.
Hop, here's another thing people don't. Let me just tell you what trajectory we're on. And I watch this stuff pretty close because, I know how it affects you. Our base budget was $1.67 trillion. Out of that, we spend $548 billion for defense, $518 for non-defense. Okay? And then we had another $58 billion for overseas contingency fund, which is basically a slush fund to continue wars forever, which I've been fighting that one because I think that should come back to legislature. Anyway, Hop, we're still on track to be $440 billion short of revenue. You know, when you start looking at what we're spending and what we're taking in, we're projected to be close to the $500 billion short from now until a long time. How can you do that and on top of that put another $680 billion? Now, I know all these things sound good until you sit down and do a tax overhaul. That's of your corporate tax overhaul and your individual because of the pass-throughs. We have to do them both. They're not willing to do this. So by not, and this is leadership.
Well,
this is not Shelley. My goodness, we get along great.
I just don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, I'm with you. I just don't know if that's going to happen in 2016 as an election year. It sounds like that both Ryan and McConnell are setting
every year is an election year. Every year is an election year in Washington. Every day is a day to raise money against somebody else. And that's what I fire away at them, buddy. I'm sick and tired of this. And that's just me. I'm not there bad-mouthing anyone or faulting anybody for supporting. I understand it's saying, no, this is the best we're going to get. Let's go ahead and vote for it. This is all we're going to get. Well, wait a minute. They said, well, you're going to shut down government. I'm not going to shut down government. I have never voted, never will. You could have had a continuing resolution for another 1 or 2 months, 30 or 60 days. Hopefully we'd gain our senses. And if we had enough people who wouldn't vote for this crazy giveaway stuff, then they sit down seriously and start working things out. But when you get Democrats and Republicans on the leadership level, that's way above ours, on that leadership level, saying, well, I got this for mine and you got this for yours, and you can look in there, and every one of those people on leadership got something specifically for their area. I understand how the game's played, but the bottom line is that's fine. If you have surpluses and you're in great shape financially, and you want to play those games, I understand that, but not when you're facing crippling debt. And we can't even get an adjustment to the income. It's just something, Hoppy, I just couldn't do. I can't do it. But I did not vote to shut down the government. And if anybody says, well, the only option was to shut down the government, I don't agree with that at all.